The Subspace Emissary, Super Smash Bros. Brawl's revered co-op adventure mode. You all know it, you all love it, and my opinions on it are not exactly positive. Yeah, I know you probably played it as a kid and have great memories of it. I did too, until I played it again in 2022 with my friend Alessia, and we thought the experience wasn't too great overall. The platforming had no flair, it's rife with auto-scrolling sections, the pacing of the levels were a crock of shit, the character's unique attributes interacted with the game, and it also didn't help that we were playing over Dolphin netplay, which infused us both with a shit ton of delay. But it has been 2 years since I last replayed it, so maybe with more time, I will have been kinder to it. I fired up Dolphin, replayed all of it again, and these were the results. I should make it clear that I'm not considering the cutscenes at all when talking about this game and its levels. Everyone knows they're awesome. I don't need to tell you that, and I'm not here to give a recap of the game's plot. Although, I might do that some other time because this game's plot is so incredibly all over the place and weirdly paced. I will, however, be ranking them in chronological order. That's just how I like to do things. So without further ado, hi. I'm Aiden, and this is every Subspace Emissary level ranked. The game's first level, Mid-Air Stadium. It isn't the worst starting level I played. Opening fight with Mario or Kirby, depending on who you pick is cool, really drives home the biggest Nintendo crossover feeling. I remember as a kid inhaling Mario for the first time and being blown away by the fact Kirby now had his hat and neutral special. I also remember it being a 1v1 with my brother as Mario, not a 2v1 with you and your partner as 2 Kirbys or 2 Marios. After that, you get a horde battle against 2 of Subspace's unique enemies, the Premids and the Spacs. That is not a typo, that is actually what they're called. I had to reread that so many times, I thought the footage and the wiki were fucking with me. Also, I can just say now that most of the designs suck or are unbearably generic. Like seriously, what the fuck is a Baculus? Also, you can play as Peach and Zelda here for a bit, but the 2 princesses along with Mario immediately get owned by PD Piranhas, so who cares? Speaking of, this is a pretty good first boss fight for Subspace. It's really easy, but its attacks with the cages of the princesses are pretty sick, and whichever one you break first actually having a unique effect on the story is neat. All in all, not too many poor things to say about it, but I do find it interesting that Subspace decided to open with 3 back-to-back battles on a stage like it was All-Star Smash, rather than a platforming level. Nothing against it, just an observation. I'll put it in B tier. Hey look, it's the closest thing Kid Icarus had to a game at that time in nearly 2 decades. Fun fact, in 12 years since Kid Icarus Uprising released on 3DS. That sucks. It's one of the best games I've ever played, please port it to Switch, I've been begging for years. Anyways, Skyworld sucks, boring level theme and even more boring level design. It looks and plays like a beta, pretty much just a straight hallway with very light platforming and some horde rooms thrown in. Also, Pit feels like absolute garbage to play due to the movement standardization. Oh, right, I almost forgot. In case you didn't know, in the Subspace Emissary, every character has the same run speed, jump height, and gravity. So multi-jump characters like Pit feel like they've had a wing cut off, and it has the other effect of making every character feel the goddamn same. I'm really not a fan of it. I don't know how integral it was to do this, especially because of how much waiting and automation there is in Subspace, and oh, I will get to that. It really becomes an issue later. Music's bopping at least. If Subspace got one thing other than the cutscenes right, it was definitely the music. This level goes in D tier. What the fuck was the point of having Kirby and whichever princess you save land on the Hellbird and have us walk on it for like 30 seconds with no obstacles on anything only to immediately fade to black and put us at the start of the actual level? Why not just start us there in the first place? I know I said cutscenes would have no effect on this, but like, at the end of both cutscenes, they're both falling. Why not just have them fall to the sea of clouds at the start? Anyway, this level is not too great either. Descending from the sky back onto the ground is actually a pretty cool concept. Shame both level themes are boring as hell and the level design is just, hey man, you like slopes? The rocks at the end are barely an inconvenience as they do no knockback. Greeper's kind of a cool mini-boss though. His design is ass, but in a way that's kind of charming. His attacks are cool too. Oh yeah, and fuck mites, they're annoying little bastards. D tier. A DK level, hell yeah. I actually don't mind this one. The use of traditional Mario enemies is cute. I like the use of the barrels to make it feel more DK-like. The circle and the breakable walls gimmicks is kind of fun because it's just satisfying to hit enemies with. The jungle level theme is generic, but I will take anything after 2 levels where you are just on clouds. And the backgrounds actually look really nice. The last 2 minutes are pretty boring, you just ride an escalating platform for a minute and a half and then immediately fall down to fight a horde of Goombas. But I like the level overall enough to throw it in B tier. The plane lives up to its namesake, I guess. Not really much to say here. Super basic platforming, obstacles that are barely an inconvenience, and then a horde battle on a platform for 2 minutes. Off topic, but this stage layout is sick. Wish we had it in an actual Smash. I think it would be pretty sweet competitively. Anyways, C tier. The boss fight with Rayquaza is pretty awesome. His model is great and his animations and attacks are really cool. But I wish these guys lasted longer. For the record, I played on hard and only like 3 of them have any health. The level itself is okay. Gimmick of the doors is kind of cute. Earlier I asked what the fuck bucculus are, and now I have an answer. Really goddamn annoying. Get off me, you Taus are one of the only enemy designs I like. Look at it. So cute. I actually don't mind the wait on a platform and beat up enemies section as much as I do normally here. It's a cool theme of a raft going down a river, and they actually give you stuff to do. Still lame though. There's a boss fight with a corrupted Bowser at the end. It's alright. Fuck, the top last zone on the stage is massive. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. This is the stage where one of the most iconic Smash remixes ever is introduced. StickerBUSH Symphony. It is not fucking brush, you have been Mandela affected. It is bush. Goes without saying, but the song is absolutely amazing. I really wish it permeated throughout the level until you fought Bowser. B tier. Alright, the Ruined Zoo, the first actually interesting location in Subspace. Love the horror aesthetic here, perfect for the beginning of Lucas's character arc. As for the actual level itself, well, it opens on an auto-scroller where you're chased by a really slow, unthreatening statue of Porky, so not a great start. It's actually a pretty cool set piece though, so I'm willing to barely give it a pass. Also, why is it that when you outrun the fella and it falls into a pool, another one spawns and it just fades to black? Really odd. The actual boss fight against Porky is really cool. His models and attacks all look fantastic. Helps that they're actually threatening to, even if they're old SDI-able. The rest of the level is also pretty good. While I find the level design wholly uninteresting, its obstacles, theming, and great music are enough to carry it. You know what? I think we got our first A tier. Okay, another interesting location. Escaping a Fire Emblem castle is a really cool idea for a Smash Bros. Level, and I think the Battlefield Fortress does it fantastically. For the first third, you start off as Marth, run out of the castle, and onto the battleground. It's mostly a straight line, but it's cool. Then you have to fight a forward battle with Meta Knight now with you, that's alright, I guess. And then it translations into a 3-minute long auto-scroller. You're losing me here, Subspace. Then a mostly automated minecart station, and then finally another horde battle with Ike. Boo. And this level started out really strongly, and the theming and music is good throughout, but it's padded to hell and thoroughly boring to complete. C tier. I think the forest ain't that bad. It's 5 minutes long, got a decent if generic theme, and pretty cool level design by Subspace standards. Climbing the tree and trying not to get lifted into the blast zone by the Trallons is a pretty unique obstacle. It's really easy to avoid, but credit for trying. The final bit where you're on the plane is pretty much just a straight shot, but it brings back the circle and breakable walls gimmick, which I still like. B tier. I do not enjoy Samus levels that much. The research facility is a boring grey, they're super frustrating to traverse, and they're way too long. For the record, I don't have a problem with long levels. I have a problem with padded levels. I appreciate them trying to replicate Metroid's sprawling level design, but I don't think they ever succeed, and the research facility does not set a good first impression. Subspace's obsession with making everything a dull hallway or an auto-scroller or just waiting on a platform for ages needs to be studied. C tier. Lakeshore is okay. Starts off with a battle against the corrupted princess and then a double battle against Mario and Pit or Link and Yoshi. Why is every Subspace battle stage a massive walkout with maybe some platforms thrown in? Also, if you're wondering why we didn't just grab and throw, it's because Dolphin was just actively fucking with the solar buttons and it was a coin flip on if it would come out or not. We're very lucky grabs aren't required to beat Subspace because it would have been a bitch to deal with. Next third of the level is once again a platform where you fight a horde of enemies into a fucking auto-scroller. Jesus Christ! The last section where you go into the mine is whatever. The background is cool. You go up and throw a key into a door, then fight a horde of enemies. That's all I got. See it here again. I actually like the path to the ruins. It starts off with an actually perilous walk. The obstacles may just be copy-paste electro balls. At least they're there. And I'm stupid enough to get hit by both of them. Then you're jump scared by a horde of enemies who don't overstay their welcome. And when you enter the cave, it's an active volcano with more perilous obstacles. That's cool. You finally enter the ruins, and it's this sick-ass high-tech Aztec temple. The horde battle background is hilariously bad, but other than that, genuinely a pretty cool level by Subspace standards. The boss fight with Wario is whatever, the stage design is atrocious. Could you imagine if this was playable? What do you do if your opponent just gets a lead and sits behind these walls? Anyways, it seems like Lucas and Pokemon Trainer are 2 for 2 on their levels. B tier. The cave is another decent level. It's perilous to traverse, looks good, and its length is just right. I like the section where you're being pushed back by the walls with holes in them. It's really easy to avoid if you're Pear or Kirby, but if you're playing any of the 3 others, it's actually a bit of a bitch. Windmill bit is cool, and I like the emphasis on falling blocks. Once again, B tier. The ruins start off very well. Descending the elevator into a short minecart ride sets the theme for this dark place really well. The crashing blocks and spikes aren't too much of a threat due to how slow they are and the lack of knockback they do, but they're still damaging obstacles. But as soon as you go through the red door and finish the opening section, curse of 4-minute auto-scroller! This sucks. Hope you enjoy waiting to fucking move forever. Could have sworn there was a boss fight with Ivysaur here, but I guess not. We move. Another 3 minutes of waiting on a platform into a short maze bit. That is boring. They just throw a shit ton of knockoff electrodes at you and force you to press some buttons. I'm beginning to go mad. How did I find this entertaining as a kid? Was everyone so blind with, yo, cool Nintendo crossover, to not critique the bandness of the actual campaign? Fuck it, this level's in D tier. Okay, halfway through the campaign now, thank God. The Wilds begins with a short hallway section that transitions into a fucking auto-scroller, god damn it! You remember when I said the automation and waiting just gets worse? From this level on, it really gets worse. It's only 40 seconds, but this has had to be one. Really? Next session has a win that pushes you back. I hate these kinds of levels so much. They just take control away from the player and make pace abysmal. They are very, very rarely done right. But surprisingly, this is one of those times. It's a short section of the level with this bit of rotating proximity bombs that are genuinely a challenge to avoid because of it. And then it's over. I like it. After you defeat the Armank, cute little guy, it's an uninspired horde battle into an auto-scroller. Hey, check out how many uppers I got while descending here. Short Donkey Kong barrel section, which feels incredibly out of place, and then a boss fight against the Subspace original character, Galleon. And it's great! I love his design, a cool robot rhino with a rocket patch attached to its back. Its attacks are sick too, has a stomping tantrum, a flop, tornado punch, charges like a rhino, it's good fun. Helps that its theme is fantastic too. He's so memorable that it got the chance to run an ultimate in its also mediocre story mode, World of Light. And it's great there too. I actually think this boss alone is enough to put the Wilds up to a B tier. Just barely, though. The Ruined Hole should not count as a level. It's just another boss fight against Galleon. And yes, I just said not even 10 seconds ago that I think Galleon was great, but making us fight it back to back with no differences in his attacks, music, or difficulty, it's horrifically lame and uninspired. This is Subspace's first F tier. The Wilds 2 sucks. 2-minute long auto-scroller into horde battle, into shitty elevator section, into wait on a platform, into another horde battle, this time with wind, into wait on another platform. Awful, lazy design, actively takes control away from the player and makes them wait for what feels like forever. Back-to-back F tiers. Finally, another DK level. Thank God I needed more StickerBUSH Symphony. Helps the swamp is actually perilous. Unfortunately, those perils just consist of a shit ton of bottomless pits. Sonic Rush is one of my favorite games of all time, so you'd think I'd have less of a problem with that, but also, what the fuck is this shit? And then another goddamn 30-second auto-scroller. I'm beginning to sound like a broken record here, but what new is there to say, man? It just sucks. Boss fight with Giant Corrupted Diddy is pretty funny. The final section is just a frustrating traverse and automated to shit beat level. D tier. Why did I pray for a DK level again? The second research facility has a really cool opening. It's completely in the dark because Pikachu, the facility's power source, is not in the machine sapping its electricity anymore. So you have to hit these buttons which temporarily turn the lights back on using what I'm guessing is backup power. It's a really neat little bit of environmental storytelling and is a nice gimmick. Then there's this fight against 2 corrupted Samuses. It's fine. The stage is massive as hell though, which makes it super annoying to kill them. Thankfully, I know basic trigonometry. The rest of the level is boring as hell, and way too long. So much fucking waiting on platforms and uninspired level design. And for some reason, also just does away with the lights that I just praised. The Ridley boss fight is pretty sick though, an amazing translation of a Super Metroid fight. Shemi has his worst design ever here, and the game also gives you a firework launcher, so it just becomes light work. Still, enough to push it to C tier. It's nowhere near as bad as the previous 3 levels. I know I haven't really talked about the characters you play much through Subspace, and that's because, like I mentioned all the way back to Skyworld, everyone feels the same due to the movement standardization. And fuck, you can really feel the nerf with Captain Falcon. It feels like he's limping through the levels. One of the Emmissary's biggest selling points is that it was, and still is, the most insane game crossover story of all time. So what the hell was the point of nerfing every character's attributes like this? I get it if it was the account for the level design, and honestly that's probably the reason, but most of the level design is just waiting around on platforms, auto-scrollers, or horde rooms. It's just so lame. Anyways, I got a bit sidetracked there. The Ancient Ruins is whatever. I got nothing to really say about it. You run through a hallway for a bit, and then fight a horde of enemies for 3 minutes. C tier. The Glacial Peak is a 7-minute auto-scroller. I know that it's trying to replicate the Ice Climber's Dream, and I also don't care. This is horrendous, and I have to create a new tier for it. It goes here, and I will never talk about it again. The Canyon is just a horde battle. I might as well just go and play Multi-Man Brawl. I guess the enemies are more interesting here than the Fighting Alloy team. I don't know, man. I seriously got nothing. F tier. Finally a good level, my god. Battleship Halberd Interior has an awesome theme. You invade the Halberd from the inside, beginning the stage by quietly sneaking through before getting caught in a cutscene and having to complete the rest of the level guns blazing. It combines the espionage of the Metal Gear series with the level from Kirby. This is what I wanted to see more from Subspace. The feel of one game in the level of another. Helps that this level also has a pretty good gimmick at the end. Flipping switches to get the lights to stop turning off, and defeating enemies to make these 5 doors open to get a boss fight against Shadow Peach and Zelda. The music is also fantastic here. I love this remix of Encounter. After 6 levels of garbage, man, it feels good to finally be able to put another level in A tier. You know, for a level called Battleship Halberd Exterior, you sure do spend a lot of it indoors. 80% of it actually. The only times you're outside are at the beginning and the end. This could have just been called Battleship Halberd Interior 2. By the way, both of these portions suck. You know how I was just talking about win levels earlier? This is why I hate them. There's no obstacles, just bottomless pits and characters that feel like they're drowning in quicksand. The interior section, whatever, it's mostly just a horde battle and a pretty decent platforming section at the end. C tier. So, Battleship Halberd Bridge is just a boss fight against Ju-On. I've shat on other levels for just being a boss or just a horde battle, but those were either a reused fight of one we thought not longer than 2 minutes ago, or uninspired crap. Ju-On is a legitimately really cool fight on an awesome stage. Great attacks, awesome designs, neat theme with the blue side being the one that attacks physically, and the pink one being the one that attacks with the projectiles. It's class! Ju-On also got to return in World of Light, but only as a spirit, unfortunately. Shame. I think I liked this battle better than Gallium. A really good way to send off the Halberd trio of levels. B tier. The first Subspace Bomb Factory. This is a Samus level, so you should know I'm not a fan. Still hate the research facility from a design standpoint, but I do kind of like how this serves as the final escape with all your upgrades like a Metroid game. Just the same, this is another very short walk, defeat enemies, walk, repeat all the way to the end. C tier. My feelings on the second Subspace Bomb Factory are the complete opposite. It's far longer than the first, so you'd think that'd make for some interesting level design, and you'd be right. You got treadmills, breakable boxes, spikes that collapse on the floor, making for a pretty tense escape, and having to flip sweet switches to unlock a final door to progress. It's a good first act. The second act consists of a massive horde battle, and while I've hated most horde battles in Subspace, I like this one a lot. It really feels like a race against time to stop every bomb in the factory from going off. But no matter how quickly you do so, you fail, so you head straight into the third act, the escape sequence. And it begins with... God fucking damn it, really? We're going 5 levels without a goddamn auto-scroller. You really had to fail me right at the end again, didn't you, Subspace? Those were my thoughts on playing through the game again. But then, you are blessed with the best boss in debatably Smash Bros. History. Meta Ridley. It's challenging, the model is awesome, the attacks are perfect for him, its music is fantastic, and the theme is perfect. Escaping the about-to-explode facility on the Blue Falcon in airship form while fighting the cunning god of death. Only problem is this attack. This attack is total bullshit. Other than that, great stuff. We got another A tier. Gotta say, we're on a pretty good streak here. The final act of Subspace seems to be looking up. Gotta preface this by saying, I absolutely adore the look of Subspace. Its otherworldly background, threatening purples, its great art direction. Unfortunately, the entrance to Subspace is a shit level. Immediately begins with an auto-scroller, and as soon as you get past that, it's just a straight line of defeat enemies, progress. Defeat enemies, progress. But I think something just clicked. The Subspace Emissary isn't a crossover platformer. It's a crossover beat-em-up pretending to be a platformer, with insane padding in between every beat-em-up section. Yeah, I'm still not a fan, D tier. Okay, final 3 levels. The first actual Subspace level is so much better than the entrance. Has a neat if boring gimmick consisting of you ascending up the level by landing on these glowing platforms or these swinging ones, then a pointless 5-second auto-scroller into another Bowser boss fight. It's nothing special, but I love that it has a melee like a Bowser's theme and the stage is in the shape of Final Destination. That's a really cute reference. I'm getting really tired of saying that I don't have much more to say, but it's really hard to come up with more, dude. C tier. Subspace 2 doesn't start out that bad. Opens with a pretty cool perilous journey around some mines. Feels like Kirby level design, actually. It's fun, and then it just follows the path of entrance to Subspace. Defeat enemy, auto-scroller, defeat enemy. I am so unbelievably sick of this. Fuck it, I'm moving to the final level. This is D tier. Okay, here we are. The final level of Subspace. Easily the Emissary's longest level, and probably its most iconic, the Great Maze. My feelings on this level are incredibly complicated. I was dreading playing this. I remember hating it as a kid and hating it 2 years ago. But now, I kind of appreciate what this incredibly long, arduous level was going for. The Great Maze combines every single level you have played up to this point, from the jungle to the research facility to the ruins and so on and so forth. In the level there are little rest spots, where you can heal, change fighters, save, and teleport to previous areas. While you take this trip down memory lane, collect fighters that Tabuu turned into trophies. Fight what I think is their souls in a little subspace void. Side note, some of these stage layouts are actually sick as hell. Wish we had them playable a lot of viable competitively. But while doing this, it hit me. The Great Maze is a mini Metroidvania. Seriously, you got a big interconnected map with waypoints on it that tell you where to go, you gain power-ups and new abilities in the form of new fighters, and your final big escape sequence is the final boss, Tabuu. Tabuu is a fantastic final boss, by the way. Sick design, super unique attacks, challenging, it's great. Really wish it was playable, honestly. If Subspace doesn't miss on another thing other than the cutscenes and the music, it's the bosses. It has me thinking, the Great Maze was really ahead of its time. It's an incredible concept for a final level of a crossover of this scale, combines all their levels, enemies, and characters into this sprawling, interconnected world where you fight a unique big bad. But I wouldn't say it entirely delivers on it. The Great Maze is annoying as hell to traverse. Sure, you got this massive interconnected world map, but everything on that world map is the same damn color. Meaning when you're trying to teleport to a previous area, it's a complete coin flip because there's nothing on the map to signify the place you are going. Doesn't help that the level design, well, I think it is Subspace at its best. In fact, in parts it's genuinely pretty good. It's still Subspace. Hallways, stopping to fight enemies, bottomless pits, the works. I will praise it for having no auto-scrollers though. To my memory at least, maybe it didn't, no, I just didn't remember. It wouldn't surprise me. Either way, the bare minimum! So where would I place the final level of the Subspace Emissary on my tier list? Well, I certainly think it's the best level in the game by a wide margin, so it's the only one in S tier. Hell, I think I would have loved it to be the whole game. Come to think of it, that's kind of what World of Light was, except with event mode instead of actual levels. Smash Bros. Also did this super well, except the map wasn't as big and that made it way more fun. Regardless, my feelings on the Great Maze flip-flop so much. It's simultaneously super ahead of its time and absolutely a product of its time. And I think that's a pretty good way to sum the story as a whole. The Emissary as a kid felt like the most insane crossover of all time. The cutscenes were super well directed, and seeing Fox McCloud stomp on goobers was a high I was trying to chase for years. I didn't really think about how any of the levels played or how the characters were nerfed, I just thought it was awesome. But as an adult, I can't see that anymore. I just see a super flawed adventure mode loaded for only one thing, and that one thing I can now just watch as one big movie on YouTube instead of having to play through the garbage levels. Hell, I don't even think it's my favorite single player mode in Brawl anymore. Coin War is my goat now. Okay, maybe that's too far. That said, I really don't think I can ever see myself running Subspace again. The stop-start gameplay, the hallway level design, the disgusting abundance of auto-scrollers. It's just pretty much everything I hate in a platformer. But Super Smash Bros. Brawl's adventure mode is still a hell of an achievement. Putting this many characters from so many different franchises into a cohesive world and story is still crazy a decade and a half later. And you know what? I can appreciate that. I can still cherish those memories from when I was a kid popping off over Sonic appearing at the last moment to join the fight. Thanks for watching, and take care of yourselves, everyone.